What's up? What's up? What's up? We are back again. You are listening to the Binge Society podcast. That's the podcast where nothing is in moderation. And my name is Winston Brewington, aka Three Tea Bags in My Tea.
Three tea bags, Winston. It's good to be with you. I myself am called Danny of Bronner, and I am delighted to be here, and I'm delighted that you guys are listening. As always, wherever you are in time and space, we always thank you for putting the sounds of Binge Society in your face. Who else we got as part of this team?
I'm Yemi Afalawi. Well, I always go last.
That's just the order we do. You want to change it?
We talked about this in the meeting, Yemi. You got last billing. We'll switch it up.
No,
I'm last fiddle. I'm Yemi
No, but
Afalawi. I'm the last fiddle.
No, but like
Bring
when
up
NBA
the rear.
teams, when NBA teams come out, when their names are announced, the best players always announced last.
That's true.
Always.
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan.
Should be
You
You're
know
the
what I
Michael
mean?
Jordan of this team. Based on
Yeah,
how much
like
you bully us constantly.
Scrubs.
So it is time for our binge of the week, which is Umbrella Academy on Netflix. So yes, I had technical difficulties with my internet last time we tried to do this, so we wanted to make sure that we bring you the full review as promised. So yeah, we binged both seasons, and yeah, it's time to dig in and yeah, let's get the ball rolling here. Let's see what's happening.
From the brain of, would you believe it? And I didn't know this going into watching this show. From the brain of My Chemical Romance frontman Gerard Way, an adaptation of that book. And while I didn't read the manga, I did do a little bit of research. So we're going to be doing our reviews of the show. We're going to be doing an analysis and a comparison to the comic. And then we're going to be going beyond the binge and discuss a few things there. Yemi, what was it you wanted to ask me there?
You said it's a manga. It's a manga?
Or a comic book. Not a manga, a graphic novel.
Graphic novel.
Graphic novel. But that's just, I mean, yeah, manga is basically Japanese for that. But thank you for the correction, Yemi. You're
It's
absolutely
totally different.
spot on.
It's two different things. You can't say it's the same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, you right. Nerd card revoked. God damn it. I don't think I can do it in the show anymore. I'm gonna go ahead.
All right, so let's get into this. Danny, you go first.
Yes.
Give us your overall thoughts on both seasons of Umbrella Academy on Netflix.
Yeah, so let's talk about the show as a whole before we really like compare season 1 and season 2. So I gotta say, just like off the top, you've heard a couple of our reviews of the likes of The Boys and Watchmen, and if you've been paying attention, you know that we're comic book nerds, and like this sort of genre, the group hero, superhero power sort of genre is like basically my favorite at this point. I love this type of shit. Your X-Men, get a bunch of heroes together, whether they be good, whether they be bad, make them do some shit, put it over the course of like 8 episodes on TV, and you give me a nerd boner. That's basically the formula. And this is a good example of that. Not perfect at
Danny
all.
has a nerd arousal, everyone.
I do. Good thing the camera only is above the waist. Oh, but
Your ears would be. I don't know what.
I have no idea where you're going with this. But yeah, not perfect, but here's what I did love about it. Especially, I love any superhero show where they have good exposition. And this show has a really good, does a really fantastic job of introducing its characters and dealing with the powers. The powers specifically in the show I found to be very interesting and very sort of unique.
Really?
Where there is a lot of well-trodden road within this show. There are a lot of tropes that some are good, some are bad. Tropes are fine as long as they're done well. That's why they're tropes, because it's worked a few times. And there are definitely some tropes that this show does particularly well. There are some that they don't. I would say there are a few. I think of one love arc in particular that was particularly cringe at times, maybe 2. And then also, I felt like for some of the antagonists, the motivations were a little bit lacking and a little bit difficult to like buy and identify with. But those are a couple of the slights. Got to give a nod to the fucking soundtrack. The showrunner, Steve Blackman himself, said that the soundtrack is a character in the show, and that's very much the case. So I love all of those different set pieces. I love the cinematography. There's a lot of comic book style shots, a lot of moving the camera. I don't have the technical jargon to describe it, but it's, I mean, you got the movie stuff, the moving. That's how I describe it, right? So I very much enjoyed this series, and it hooked me from the beginning, and then grew on me throughout, I would say.
Okay, I like that response. Yemi comedy. It's your turn, my friend. What did you think?
It was great. It was good. It was great. I enjoyed every moment Klaus was on the scene, in front of the camera. It was. I think the powers were a little underwhelming, if I'm being honest. I was like, "Was this dude just an ape? What is this guy? He's just an ape man." I feel like I never really got to see his power.
It's also very emotional.
Yeah. What was the number one? What was his name?
Luther.
Luther, yeah,
Luther.
yeah.
Also him and Allison there. That was gross, but whatever. They got jungle fever times 10. I don't know what fever that is. He's like, well, we're not related. But like, yeah, but you still grew up together. Ugh. Anyway,
Yeah,
that
there's
was
a lot
weird,
of simping going on there.
or whatever you want to call that. Also, you could tell Allison really never loved him because she never used her power on him, because she could have easily said that, or maybe she did, which is why they were in love. I don't know. Weird. Vanya, she was dope. She reminded me of Mr. Manhattan vibes when she unlocked her true potential, very anime-esque, like, whited out eyes. It was good.
But Yemi, you said that you weren't really a fan of the powers. That was actually kind of one of my favorite things. Was like they weren't like super in your face dope powers. They were kind of like clever in a way. I thought that the rumor thing, I don't know if we've seen anything like that before. It was kind of like mind control and manipulation, but it was like a very like niche thing. Klaus's power as well, sort of very niche, communicating with the dead, but all the things he could do around that I thought were really interesting.
I thought Klaus's power was just to steal every scene, as far as acting was concerned. He was probably in my opinion, like he outshined everybody in every scene that I saw, and like his timing and his just acting prowess and that character he played was just, for me, a chef's kiss. Of, was like, take an acting class, everybody else around him, and not everybody else around him. I'm not gonna get into it, but him for me, like, he really made the show enjoyable because of his just what is it, his tragic hero, like, he was a tragic hero, you know what I mean, and that trope really spoke to me. So that was really dope. That's one thing I really enjoyed about it.
I
What about you, Winston?
I really I did like this show. It took me a couple episodes to really get into it, but once I did, I was able to binge it pretty quickly. I did like how the characters were. They seemed more like relatable because their powers weren't so crazy. Like Diego, for instance, right? Like I wasn't really sure what his power was, other than like he could like throw knives very, all over the place or something. But
If I could
I
just
still like
interject,
them.
I think five in season 2 described it perfectly. He's Batman. Just think aim lower.
Right. Yeah, pretty much. Like, but like it was kind of cool. I like what they did. And also like Danny said, the music was very well done, but also it was a little odd because when I think about music supervision, I always think about working with a budget, having to find, underground bands or younger bands. And so I guess they must have had a big budget on this, or a pretty decent budget, because they were using songs from Queen, Backstreet Boys. It was just like like the songs would come out during the scenes and I'll be like, wait, this is the song they chose. And it was actually really interesting. And I like the artistic choice there, because it's not something that a lot of people can do because it's expensive, but it definitely acts like a character in this show. So yeah, I enjoyed it. A good, solid binge. So I guess now this is when we can kind of break things down. I guess, Yemi, this is where you could talk about what you liked and disliked from season 1 and 2. Did you have a favorite? Yeah, whatever, whenever you're ready.
I can talk now and say what I dislike. Can I be a curmudgeon?
You could be a curmudgeon.
Yeah,
All
curmudge
right.
away.
Hazel and Cha Cha.
Uh-oh.
Listen, I'll just preface this for the people listening. I love Mary J. Blige as a singer. She's one of the baddest to ever touch a mic, hands down. Can I just say that? I love Mary J. Blige. I love any person of color who has a role in something that's monumental and that kind of edifies itself in our pop culture. I'll just say that. Now, that being said, why was she in season one as
She's got a good
Cha-Cha?
agent. She got a good
No,
agent.
no, no. Why? Just why? Why? It was so bad. I would get angry. I would get like I would get angry when she was in the scene because what was it? The Syndicate or what's the name of the people, the time travel people? They're not called the Syndicate. They're called the Bureau or
I think it is the Syndicate. I got this written down.
anyway.
We can edit this.
They're two assassins, right? I loved Hazel. Hazel kind of played this, disaffected, monotone, kind of character, and I felt like Cha Cha's character was this character that was supposed to be this, no, just like a stone killer that's supposed to evoke fear in the person they're in front of, right, at all times. Where when I watched the scene where she was in, it sounded like she was just reciting lines. I like it was terrible. I'm not saying she can't act ever or she hasn't been in things where she shined, but for me as a person who was immersed in this world that they're building, and every character is supposed to be, and a character actor, you're supposed to suspend disbelief. She just I think I just started laughing hysterically at a line. She's like, "I'm gonna kill you," and I was like, "Are you really?
You're dead.
Yeah,
You're dead. You're dead."
that was
It's
a
like,
bad scene. I didn't think it was that
like,
bad.
first of all, what dialect? You're dead. You hear me? You're dead. Like, she didn't even know
Where's
who
she
she
from?
was.
She's
She
from New York,
prepped
right?
by listening
I
to
have
some
no
mob
idea
movies.
where she was
I mean,
from.
watching some mob
She
movies.
was
Sorry.
from the land of not paying your acting coach enough. I don't know where she was from, but maybe she was from that street.
Yeah, that was definitely a bad moment for her. I definitely felt that, but I kind of liked her. Is that okay? Like
Oh, that's fine.
for,
I'm just saying, for
I
me,
liked
that
their
that
dynamic for
that really
Cha-Cha
made
and
me dislike
Hazel.
episode season one.
Yeah. So I mean, I liked Cha-Cha and Hazel, especially Hazel. That was just like an amazing performance. But yeah, I mean, I think it's really easy to say. I don't know how many people would disagree with me, but I feel pretty strongly that season two was far and away the better season. Now, so season one, this is what season one had. Like I said, I really enjoy exposition. So I loved the revelations of each of the characters' powers, and specifically, I liked and this is like, this goes for most comic book movies, shows, what have you, when they're learning their powers, or anime or manga, if you will, is kind of like learning their powers. When Klaus was becoming sober and then figuring out how to make use of his power. That was very interesting. And then you would think, and I thought to myself, was like, but how is he going to put this into practical use, especially as like a superhero saving the world? And then you see as it develops, he basically has like a summon power. He kind of has like an avatar or like a persona, if you're familiar with that game. So that was really cool. Vanya, of course, that her power is very, very dope. I really liked the sort of struggle that developed around the powers, the sort of how it seems like for each of the characters, their powers get in their way somehow. To a lesser extent, I'd say Luther. I mean, I guess that just it eventually, when he turned half ape or whatever he turned into, that's where the struggle really came in. But I'd love to see the characters struggling. There was an element of mystery, a la Watchmen, the original Watchmen movie and graphic novel. And you can definitely see the shades of influence from Watchmen all over the place in the show, even down to in season 2 with a homeless man holding up the sign saying the end is nigh. That's straight out of Watchmen. So I love that element of mystery. But for season 1, those bad tropes, that's where we really saw those with Ellen Page's Vanya. Ellen Page really didn't get to shine in season 1. There was a lot of simping. The 2 love arcs I really didn't buy. I thought
What
they
can
were
you
very
can you say why you
cringe.
saying who was simping? I don't
Luther
understand.
was simping all day. This was a simp fest, and we had a lot in season 2. We'll get in. We're gonna talk about, by the way, the best
I don't
couple from this
understand what you
show.
mean by it was a Simp festival.
Yeah,
All right.
we'll get in when we talk about the couples. But Luther, it basically, for those of you who haven't checked Urban Dictionary recently, like simp means like it's like a dude that plays himself, or I guess he could be anyone who is trying to go after and exhibit their interest towards a love interest, and it's kind of unrequited, and you kind of play yourself. You know what I mean? It could be like, hey, I'm gonna go do this big favor for you and expect like some love in return, basically. You know, he's like, oh, they're
Oh.
gonna want to be my girlfriend after that. There was a lot of that with like Luther. So
Yeah,
so I didn't like that. I didn't like. So I was like rooting against it. And the dance scene with Luther and Allison was awful, dude.
that was trash.
I was like, what am I watching? Oh my god, please make this stop. And I was so glad when we found out that that day actually didn't come to pass, when they had to go back in time and that didn't happen. I was like, yes. I was actively rooting against that couple. And then for Vanya and Leonard, it was like that was such a well trodden trope, and a bad one, of like, he recognizes me, no one sees me for who I am but him. And it was so telegraphed that he was going to be evil and be using him. And then for both of them, I thought their motivations for being evil was like super weak. Leonard was like another trope, and a bad one, of like, I liked the Umbrella Academy and they were nice to me, so now I'm gonna blow up the whole world. How many times have we seen that story in the worst of movies?
Wasn't
I,
that in Incredibles?
that was Incredibles, Iron
Wasn't that
Man
the guy?
3.
Wasn't the antagonist is like? Wasn't that
Yeah.
his
hmm
motivation? He was like, I want to be one of you, and it's like, I work alone, you little shit.
Basically, that's
Eat a
basically
shit
what it is.
sandwich, and he's like, oh, I'm gonna make
And then
$billions.
for Vanya, she accidentally, so she believes, kills Allison. She's feeling sorry for it. Obviously, she'd feel understanding that people are scared of her, and then she gets locked in that little panic room or whatever. And then she all of a sudden she's like, wait, I hate everyone, and then fucking blows up the moon. So like the motivation was weak there, but overall I enjoyed season 1. Season 2 was so much better. Down to the one complaint I have for season 2 is Hazel is not in it, but for the most part. But I love the character development. They made Luther, Allison, and Vanya a lot more interesting, especially Luther. I thought he was hilarious in season 2. And I loved the love interest with Diego, and Lila was a great addition to the story. And 5 in both seasons, but in season 2 especially, I really loved his character. Season 2 was so much better. It was a lot more engaging, I thought, and there were a lot fewer cringe moments. And then the love interests were also less cringe, and to the contrary, they're actually really interesting and engaging.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with Danny on a lot of that. I thought season 2 was way better. I really liked the time element, and just like being in the 60s and then having to deal with Kennedy's assassination. It was just an interesting way to like throw these guys, or these characters in this world. So I really enjoyed that. The things that I really didn't like, or if I really had to be picky, was I thought there was too much filler, like too many filler episodes. There were definitely episodes that could have just not been there, and we could have got more action. And I feel like this is a problem with a lot of Netflix shows, sort of like this extra bloat. Like if a show gets offered 10 episodes and they're hour long, like it's just like that dance scene that we talked about with Luther and Allison. Like that was like that didn't need to be there. You know what I mean? There's just so many like filler things that I feel like they just kind of threw in there because they're just trying to make more content to get everything in. So yeah, that was my main gripe with it. I just thought it was a little long at times, and there's some things that definitely didn't need to be there. But overall, I thought it was really dope. Season 2, way better. We'll get more into like the characters and maybe some scenes that we were really into. But yeah, that's
Yeah,
the
when you
way.
talk about fluff, I think, of course, of that episode and that dance scene. That episode was the day that wasn't, and they basically reversed almost everything that happened from that day. So it was like, wait, you had an episode and nothing happens? And, that was my initial reaction. I was like, that seems kind of a waste. But I did like that as a plot device in certain ways. But there was an element of like, you just threw away your material and everything that just developed there. You mentioned, Winston, the 1960s and civil rights. Well, we find out once our main characters get thrust into the 1960s that especially Allison is thrust into the middle of the civil rights movement as they're in Dallas, Texas, the heart of the South. But interestingly enough, in the original Umbrella Academy comic book, the Academy members are all white. What do you guys make of that? What do you think of the choice to change in this adaptation, having more cultures and ethnicities represented in this?
I'm glad they changed it. I think that, especially now, like, I mean, we talk sometimes about like shoehorning in representation, but I feel like if you didn't do that now, I like it. I like the idea of it so much better with just having more diversity. I liked how they had to deal with things differently, and Luther had his path, and Five had his path. I just liked how everything sort of came together. Vanya, I'm sorry, had her own path, and then it just I like the way that worked. So I feel like to lack diversity, I think would just be boring. In my opinion.
Oh, that reminds me, just as a nod back to like our season 1 to season 2 comparison. One of the reasons why I liked Ellen Page and Vanya so much more is, number one, I thought that Ellen Page got to show a lot more of her acting legs in season 2. We got to see a lot more of her character. Season 1, she was so like reserved and tucked in that it seemed like a waste of such a talented actress. And then also, I mean,
I like that.
That's fair.
Enjoyed her playing. If I'm being honest,
in season 1, you mean?
Yeah, in season 1, I kind of wanted I kind of wanted her to be regular, but of course that would lay waste to the whole tracks they're putting down as far as plots are concerned. But I like the fact that she was just like regular, and they mistreated her for it. Like, yeah, you were regular, you were basic. You ain't eat the sandwich.
Well, you mad basic, Vanya.
Sit down, Vanya.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, they really diss Vanya like all the time in season 1.
Yeah, I like that, and it gave her a source of hate for them, or
she
source
went
of
full
anger,
like
and her
Carrie.
whole power
She
is
went full Carrie, basically.
Well, Jean Grey, she can't control her power and telekinesis, and she freaks out.
Yeah.
But also, her power is directly connected to her emotion and sound. And if she loses emotion, and she was on mood stabilizers or some strong ass psychotropic that her father was giving her since she was like a young person, so she was probably on some type of Valium where she just didn't feel anything, and then when she was off it, she was like, I feel everything.
Right. And then season 2, I didn't, but I almost like didn't buy. I almost like didn't buy the relationship with Leonard. I mean, it's hard to separate Ellen Page, who's such an outspoken member of the LGBTQ community, that it was hard to separate the actress from the character to a certain degree for me, and that's obviously on me. That's not a slight on the show whatsoever. But I was like almost like happy to see the relationship in season 2 as compared to that one. And also, just as a quick like comparison to the comic book, there was no Leonard love interest that turned her into the powerful Vanya. It was like some shit like the orchestra. There was the conductor from the orchestra that manipulated her, and then like they turned her into the Vanya that blew shit up. But yeah,
I would have enjoyed that way more, having her craft and her art awaken her abilities in some fuckboy.
Yeah, but it was like something like the orchestrator as he was drawn in the book. It was like an alien type, like it was almost like a robot looking character. I think that the TV adaptation, the way they did it, actually kind of played well, even notwithstanding the motivation issues that I mentioned earlier.
Okay, this might be a good point to talk about comparisons between Umbrella Academy and The Boys. Should we do that now?
Okay. Yeah. Oh, well, why don't we give our reviews first, just to give a sense of like, so we can compare them relative to the shows we've already seen, because we already have our star reviews for The Boys and Watchmen.
All right, so let's do that. How many umbrellas do you give Umbrella Academy, Danny?
Okay, so for the series overall, I want to give it 3.5, and that is I think for season 1 I would give it a 3. And then for season 2, I would give it a very strong 3.5 to 4. And it's so strong, and it left on such a high note that it sort of carried the faults of season 1. But like I said, there was still a lot that I loved about season 1. I was really overall drawn into the sort of like magic quality. There was like a Harry Potter element. There was a little bit of like a childish wonder that I had with this show, especially in season 1. So I would give it that.
Okay. What about you, Yemi?
How many umbrellas?
How many umbrellas for overall
Umbrellas
series?
good?
How many
season?
umbrellas, my brother?
I don't know, man.
Black umbrellas.
Oh, how many Rihanna's umbrella? Yeah, you know what? I don't know, man. Season 1. I'm telling you, that Cha-Cha, man, she needs to Cha-Cha slide her ass out of that shit, man. This is bad. I'm still angry about it. I'm sorry.
Mary J, don't
She's
be mad.
gone
Please
now.
come on
She's
the
gone. It's
podcast.
over,
It
Yemi.
just shows nepotism in the business at a blatant just like levels. Like the reason why she got this is because of who she is, not because of what she is, which is a good actor. And I just think like, all right, whatever. If she wants to dip into acting, maybe start small in an independent Sundance. You know, start as a waiter. You know, work your way up. You know, do background work. See how the real people. Imagine Mary J. Blige doing background words like, "Hey, why are you back here in
Is that
Holden?
Mary
Like,
J. Blige?
aren't you supposed to be a feature? Nah, I'm singing Haterade and Zella. I don't. That's not a song she sings. That's
I was like, is that a B-side? I haven't heard
is it a
that.
hateration? I give season 1 2 umbrellas. I give it 2 umbrellas, and I give season 2 3. I give it 3 umbrellas. Season 2. There was an homage to Snatch. Did you guys catch that?
Which part?
Yeah, what part
You
are
guys
you?
catch the Snatch homage?
I think I missed it actually.
Have you, have you
when was
guys
that?
seen Snatch?
I saw Snatch
I've seen it.
years ago.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Really? I thought you were a big Guy Ritchie guy.
I am a good big guy, Richard guy.
Oh, there's a when Luther's in the bare knuckle boxing.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah,
When
yeah,
he's
yeah.
in
All
the
right.
bare knuckle boxing, and he gets like he throws a match, and he gets knocked with an uppercut and lifts off.
Oh, that's
off,
right.
and then they play the same exact soundtrack.
Oh, well
Good catch.
spotted, Yemi. Well
Yeah,
spotted.
man. I
Well
was like, oh,
done, well done.
Snatch. And one thing I liked about season 2 is just the soundtrack and just everyone's arc seemed more fleshed out. It seemed a lot more rooted in what they were going for, maybe with season 1. You know what I mean? Like with between Ben, I love Ben and Klaus's relationship, and like that for me was like so like I just wanted more Klaus. I'm sorry, I just wanted more Klaus. I didn't really give a shit about anybody else because he seemed like the most. His character seemed to have the most of an arc and just having the go at it just like he didn't want to hear the voices which was that mine? Hold on. Someone knocking on my door? Oh, never mind. I am not having a stroke, everybody. It sounded like someone's knocking on my door, but I think that was me moving my desk.
We
Anyway,
were talking about Klaus.
Klaus had the best character arc in my opinion. It was like what the 60s, so he was like this hippie kind of guy, had a cult, and you know his whole him realizing or actualizing his actual power, which is being able to I guess being a necromancer and be able to his power is like super dope. He can control the dead and make them have physical abilities. So that for me really made it, and I really wanted more of him. And they gave him a lot of screen time. Also, fun fact: if you want to check out young Klaus, you should check out the Misfits series.
Yes.
What I will be side binging because there's a young Klaus in it, and he's just as cheeky. So season 1, 2 umbrellas. I will give that shit 1 because of Cha-Cha, but no, everyone else did good. Season 2, 3 umbrellas.
Would you give the series a 2.5 average, or do you think that season 2 kind of pulls up the series average? If that makes sense.
If people listen to this, like, should I watch it? I think it's a great because it's not so much about the powers, it's more about the dynamic of family. And that's one thing I connected with, whereas like I love the fact that even with Lila and the mother, I forget her name, the head of the syndicate, they had this allegory.
The commission, like, by the way, I looked.
They had this allegory where it's like you choose who your family is, and family is not skin deep. It's actually a choice. Family is a choice. And I really dug that allegory throughout the whole red thread of season 1 and season 2. You choose your family, right? The commission chooses the family, and the umbrella and the papa, whatever his name was, what's his name? Dad's name?
Reginald Hargreaves.
Hargreaves chose his family, so I would give it an overall 3. It's a solid binge, and I'm gonna actually check out the what is it called, the graphic novel, just to see where they got their source material from. It's cool.
Yeah.
Cool power.
And, yeah, just to kind of
Um,
go back to the point of the changes in the graphic novel that they have different races, just the fact that these kids came from all around the world, it was a little bit weird that they all came from they were all white. They all came from places where there were white people. That was a little bit strange to me. And obviously, if they were all white, we wouldn't have gotten the civil rights arc in the way we did. And I thought that arc was especially well done.
Oh yeah, that was really
I
well done.
agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
I was like, how are they gonna undercut this shit? Because if they
I
don't
thought
talk
that
about
was
the civil
fire.
rights happening in the '60s, I'm turning this shit off.
Yeah.
Oh man, just speaking about the '60s and the civil rights movement, and Winston, before we get your review, I'm sorry, but I just have to give a nod. During these times, I don't know if you found this for yourselves, but the scene where Allison's love interest, is his name is Raymond. The Allison's love interest, Raymond, where he's getting beaten by the police brutality moment where you think he's going to get beaten to death. I found myself like, I had a real visceral reaction to that. I had this reaction just like, that was kind of like, I can't see this shit anymore. Like I was basically like bursting into tears. Like I couldn't take it. And I just wanted to acknowledge like that where we are in the times that like I can't watch movies like that anymore. I like needed a break. I was like, if he gets killed, I'm not gonna be able to like fucking cope. Basically, did you have a similar reaction like that?
It wasn't as visceral as that, but I definitely felt something, and that it actually reminds me because before we recorded the show, I'd watched the first episode of Lovecraft Country, which is something we'll talk about later. But it's also there's some very heavy racial scenes. It takes place in the 50s, so that's there's so much of this content coming out now, which is great because people can see things maybe that they're not used to, but for us, it's very, very triggering. At least I could say for me, maybe for Danny, Yemi, we've talked about this on the show before. So yeah, it was heavy. It was really
maybe
heavy.
because it's we're so steeped in it and we've been doing so like much to go into it and process it. It was just like, I can't. Yemi, how'd you feel?
I just felt how it's amazing how, or not amazing, but how it's ironic that a scene out of a scene that was an adaptation of a graphic novel written by a white dude is like the same thing that's happening. It's this kind of surrealism where it's like, this looks like now. You know what I mean? This is 1960s. We're in 2020 in this fake world, and it's still, hitting on the same nodes. Whereas it's like, yeah, police brutality back then, back now, sitting, rioting, marches. So
Yeah.
it was just kind of like a moment for me. Like,
Yeah.
wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Like, like that's not interesting, but that's like not serendipitous, but it's surreal almost to see it in something where you're trying to escapism is TV, right? TV is escapism, right? So you're trying to escape into this world, and as you try to escape into a world that is fake, it becomes real. So it's TV art imitating life imitating art, like back and forth this loop. So I just felt like, whoa! I was watching it with my girl, and she's like, "This is like now." I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah, and I think
It's like
that's an amazing way of putting it. And maybe it was that shock. I was in, when I'm watching a comic book movie like that, I was in that totally in a state of escapism, and then all of a sudden it just switched on. I was like, this is too fucking real for me.
And it's like,
I can't.
this is real. And I don't think they shot. I mean, I don't know when they shot this, but I don't think they shot it with that as an intention because it was in the 1960s and there was civil unrest in the 1960s. But it is very ironic that we are still living in the same times or experiencing the same experiences that their fictional characters are experiencing. And also, that's to be said, that real people are still experiencing now and have back then. You know what I mean? It's just like, wow.
Yeah,
when are we going to
absolutely.
pass this kind of cancer that is systemic racism and all that, and be able to just to watch a comic book movie and talk shit about Cha-Cha? That's all I want to do.
I just want to talk shit about Mary J. Blige.
Talk shit about. I love you, Mary J. Blige. Please don't stop singing. You are Grammy nominee winner. One of the best songs. You're All I Need with Method Man. You know we love you, but damn, come on.
Yeah. All right. So sorry for those couple of asides there. Winston, what is your review?
All right. So first, before I do my quick review, Yemi, if you want to check out Mary J in a role that she acts well, It's a little more down. It's a rough movie. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Mudbound on Netflix. Have you guys seen that?
I will check out Mudbound. I don't know,
It's a
and I hate to shit on her, like I don't, you know what I mean? Because she's a woman of color, and they don't get a lot of roles, and it's just to me, the, as an actor, as a comedian, it's like when you see something that is plain as day and obvious, where it sounds like someone's reading lines and hasn't done any character. Who is this character? Who are you? You're you playing someone. You're not the character. Whereas everyone else was like Klaus was Klaus. Like that was, I didn't know
yeah.
who the actor was. Like that was
Yeah.
him. You know what
I
I
mean,
mean?
you could say his performance is pretty similar to that of Misfits and some of his other roles, but he does have range. He's an
Fine,
amazing
but
actor.
no,
I
no,
know
no,
what
but
you're saying.
fine. Then
Yeah.
go for what you know. That's even better if you're like typecasted and he's like, yo, I can play the shit out of this. I played so many characters. It adds depth to the role, character, adds a palette to your acting play. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
True.
it's like
True.
that's
True.
that's even better. You know. So anyway, don't want to say that. Go ahead, Winston.
Yeah.
Like,
So I just want to say that real quick. So
Mudbone. I
yeah,
will probably check it out.
yeah. Please do. It's a heavy movie. I'm not gonna lie though. So be prepared.
Okay. Well,
Um,
shit.
yeah. So overall, I would give this series a 3. I would say season 2, I would give probably like a 2, maybe 2.5, and then season 3, I
Wait,
maybe
you mean,
would
whoa. Season
Wait,
one,
what?
you mean? You said
season 1
season
I would
two
give.
and then season 3.
Wait, oh
You would
shit,
give
I'm getting
season one a
confused. I'm getting confused because I'm thinking about the look. Okay, let's break it down like this.
season one.
1, I give 2 umbrellas. Okay.
Okay.
One, two.
Season season 1, I give
Uh-huh.
2 umbrellas. Season
One,
2,
two,
I give 3 umbrellas. So,
two, three. Okay.
all right, so that's kind of how I feel. It's a good show. I say it's definitely worth binging. Also, I wanted to mention, I really like the mental health aspects that they talked about. There's a lot of mental health going on in the show, right? We're talking about daddy issues. We're talking about, orphans. It's really like if you really watch this and pay attention to the mental health issues that these guys have, these characters have, it's really really interesting, and that was one of the things I thought was really well written. All
Yeah,
right,
they
so
got
from there,
Android mommy issues, monkey
that's right.
butler issues, lots
That's
of
right.
issues.
It's a lot going on. All right, so
Pogo.
let's move on to this real quick because we are short on time, and I definitely want to hear you guys' opinion on this. So comparing Umbrella Academy to other shows that we love, like The Boys and of course Watchmen, that came out Emmy nominated, and Doom Patrol, which we're not as familiar with, but maybe somebody could speak to that if they've seen. I've seen maybe one episode. I'm not sure
I
if
watched the
anyone.
pilot. I watched the
Okay.
pilot,
Okay.
and I definitely want to check that out. I'm gonna do that as a side binge and look out for a side binge review of that after I get through all. What is it like? There's a lot of episodes, and they're an hour each. But
Yeah.
very interesting. For me, The Boys is king. It's up to anyone else from this genre to dethrone The Boys, but I don't see it happening. Watchmen is a close second, and then we'll see. I definitely the pilot of Doom Patrol did not grab me nearly as much as Umbrella Academy, but we'll see where it stacks up. But for now, Umbrella Academy within these mentioned would sit at number 3, not too far behind Watchmen, but like Watchmen and The Boys are like masterpieces.
All right. How about you, Yemi? What do you think?
Ditto. I would say the same. I would say the boys. I would even say maybe no. Yeah. No, the boys is lit. I'd be kidding myself. I'm like it wasn't. It was good from the beginning to the end, and Watchmen just again masterful acting. Maybe I wasn't down with what they did with the source material, but just watching Regina King just steal each scene is like yo. As someone who enjoys what a character like someone who it's like watching a dancer or watching someone sculpt with a chainsaw. It's like wow, you put work into this. So that's a weird analogy. Is that a
You
thing?
do a lot of that, do you?
No, I don't. But you know what I mean? It's just yeah, those two. Misfits actually, the pilot of Misfits is warped to say the least. So I'm like, let me check out the Misfits because it has a similar, these Misfits characters, juvies that get this power from the divine source or whatever, and the pilot really grabbed me. So I was like, it's really
Yeah, I
really
heard especially the early seasons of that are really good. But I have
really
heard
good.
from
And have people of color in there. They have the accent smite and all that.
Yes. They got
Charlie.
Ramses from Game of Thrones in there as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. They got Ramses. They got young Klaus in there. So I would say that the other two's like by far it was because the thing about this show was too campy. It was with the dance scenes. I was like, what do you? Each scene has like a dance montage. Like, all right, but that to me kind of knocked it down. Like, all right, don't take it as seriously as these other things. Like they have their own thing going on as far as
Yeah,
from a director point of view.
yeah, I feel like with Umbrella Academy, they definitely made it a point to me to kind of open up their sort of not fan base, but trying to draw more people who might be into like just like pop music and pop culture. Because I know people who would never watch The Boys because it was too heavy for them. But then
For me.
yeah, too violent. But then they would still watch. And like Umbrella Academy had its share of violence. All right, there's that scene with Five where
Oh
he
yeah.
eliminates
Oh,
When
yeah,
he
the
got
whole
absolutely.
grabbed the
board.
axe, yeah, I was like,
Yeah,
all right, turn it up.
yeah,
I
like
wanted
that
more
was
of
Turn
that
the
as well. I
noise.
felt like that was kind of far and few in between. But
yeah.
the fight choreography in Umbrella Academy was good. Like
Yeah.
considering they wanted their actors to do most of the stunts, it was pretty good. It wasn't like it wasn't cringeworthy. Where it's like that's not a roundhouse spin kick.
You call that a
Yeah.
pot of
But
chuck?
there were times when Five was in fight scenes. I was like, it's crazy how much that's not him because he
Oh yeah,
was
you
just a
could see.
grown ass
Oh,
man. Like
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
like that comical
He's
thing,
a
like
little
I'm a
man.
grown ass man with a beard now playing a little kid. It's like,
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
well, whatever. That's just me being a curmudgeon because I pause it. I'm like, that's not him.
I hear
Yeah.
you.
Does
I hear
everyone see this? He's screaming at my girlfriend. She's like, sit down.
you. Yeah, I think our ideas are unanimous at this point. The Boys is still number one, and we'll see what happens. Season two dropping soon, so we'll see how that stacks up to season two of Umbrella Academy.
That's the
All right,
Isn't it in the fall? It's coming out. Like,
yeah,
September the 4th, the first three
that's right.
episodes.
Very very soon.
going back to school, y'all.
So let's get into our last kind of two pieces of this discussion. Favorite character members of the Academy. Should we just go in order from who we like the most to the least? Should we do it that way?
I guess I could kind of like do my top. I'm not gonna put it in like any order. My number one. I think we have a sense of Yemi's number one. I don't know if he's made that clear just yet or not. Who is it for you, Yemi?
Klaus, man. If your number one's not Klaus, then I don't know what you're really doing with your life. It's
Well, I'll
Klaus.
tell you what. That's not my number one, Yemi. He's a close second. He's a close second. But my number one has to go to number 5. Who, as sometimes I hate child actors. Smugness can really get at me. But this was a masterful performance, and I'm surprised you didn't really resonate with his curmudgeon energy. But Aidan Gallagher as number 5 was an amazing performance over the course of the 2 seasons. His cantankerosity, if that's a word, his power, even his fight scenes. I love that sort of one of my favorite fight scenes of all time in comic book movies is in X-Men 2 with Nightcrawler. So he definitely has some Nightcrawler vibes with that power. If I had to choose one of the powers out of any of the 7, I would probably go with his just to bounce around. Hopefully I wouldn't get any time loops where I end up in the apocalypse, but whatever. The bouncing around, I love that shit, and he was just a tremendous character for me. And then I guess like I'd say second would be like Diego, and then especially in season 1, like the other 3, I was like, yeah. But then you can take your pick, any order for the other 3 after
Okay.
that. But I'd say Diego is Klaus runner up, but then Diego.
Okay, that's fair. What about you? Well, Yemi.
I just
Any
said he was
runners
my
up?
favorite. He was like my favorite. I didn't say he was my favorite power. I was just saying like he's my favorite Academy member.
Okay.
I didn't
Any
know we were
runners up for you?
equating the same.
No, we're not. I was just saying he
okay.
happens to have the coolest power for me. For number 5 does.
I don't know. As far as their powers, they're a little lackluster for me. There's nobody.
No, who's your second favorite character?
Oh, second favorite character?
Yeah.
I like Lila. She reminded me of Meliodas from Seven Deadly Sins, where she could just pretty much do exactly what you do. She reminded me of Bishop from X-Force.
Or
Bishop,
Kakashi.
excuse me. Or Kakashi, Copy Ninja. You know that trope, and I really like that trope because it tests the character's resolve. Can you beat yourself? And if not, then what else do you have other than your power that is special about you? I really like that. And so I would say she's probably my second favorite when she, especially that fight scene. That fight scene was dope as hell. Like which was kind of weird that she tapped into her power all of a sudden. Did they say how she tapped into her power? Anyway, never mind. I just
that was
liked
her
her as
reveal. We didn't know.
Yeah, we didn't know, but that was I would say she's my like number 2 favorite just because of her powers as being OP, I think. Her being able to just copy your powers like, "What? But I'm special."
Nobody's like me.
No, you're not, Cha-Cha.
Leave Cha-Cha alone. Winston, who is your favorite character?
And I gotta go with Klaus number 1. He really did steal the show, and he was great. And I had 5 as my second, just because I thought the way that his character was just like thought he was smarter than everyone else. He probably actually was, but it was just weird the whole thing of him being older and then having to fight his younger self. And I don't know, he was pretty. I don't know, he was a good character.
Oh man, the time lapse psychosis or whatever they called it, where they're farting. That was
fucking funny.
Chef's kiss. One of the most amazing episodes and narratives throughout the whole series.
That was hilarious. I guess we'll move on. We only have a few minutes left, so let's get into our last piece here.
This is what everyone came for.
This is what everyone came for. The best couple from the Umbrella Academy. Let's see, who should go first? How about you, Yemi?
Well, let's break down what couples were in, what we had, because there were quite a few couples. Let's break down the contestants.
All right, so of course we had Luther and Allison. They were kind of like the most out there couple, it would seem. You had Allison and Raymond. You had Vanya and Leonard, and then of course you had Vanya and Sissy. You had Diego and Lila, and then you had Klaus and Dave, Hazel and Agnes, and then Five and Dolores. So
the mannequin,
the mannequin, which I also thought was fucking weird and shit. But hey, let's go. Be weird. Hey, each their own.
You didn't have Hargreaves and the mother robot.
Oh, I guess you could, yeah, Reginald Hargreaves. But before he was simping too, because she ditched him. You're right.
No, she didn't.
Yes, she did. She fucked off. She was like, I don't like what you're doing with this Kennedy assassination shit. And that's why he had to make an android out of her, or made I think he made it like a replica of her. But anyway, who's your top couple, Yemi?
I didn't know we were doing this. I guess skip me, man. Skip me. I don't have a
we'll
top
come back
couple.
to you.
I don't have a top couple. It was Allison and Luther.
Oh, basic bitch.
Basically, I don't off the top. It was either Allison and Luther. I did like Lila and Diego. I thought that was cute. That they fell in love in the asylum. And she's like, I love him. That's why I won't kill him or whatever. I thought that was cute. I would say that was probably my, I'd like that. And I did like a little bit of Vanya and Sissy. That was hot. I was like, yeah. You want to go to the back? Cheat on my husband.
Oh boy. I don't know if I had a favorite. I would say Vanya and Sissy was definitely the heaviest. That was heavy. That was heavy.
Yeah, there was a lot going on.
So there was a lot going on. Also, I did kind of like the sort of almost comic relief of Diego and Lila. Like they obviously had some chemistry, but it was just funny how
they had the good on-screen chemistry as well. It was believable.
Yeah, they had great on-screen chemistry. I was actually actively rooting for their being a couple. I was like, come on, you guys, you can make it through. I believe in you. Nothing like a good loony bin love story. You see it in Legion. Love that trope.
Oh, that's right.
I'm gonna give this one to Klaus and Dave. Klaus and Dave, man. This was a great moment because it added to Klaus's character. He was, such a basket case and such a head case, and obviously coping with dealing with learning his powers and struggling with addiction. And this added such another layer of nuance to his character in season 1 when he comes back from the Vietnam era, and then seeing how that played out in season 2 where he's trying to save Dave's life, and that whole interaction at the diner. There are multiple interactions. I loved that arc, so I gotta give it to them, and a special nod to Five and Dolores because that was a little mannequin love. I felt sad for Five to go your whole life, and that's your only love interest as a mannequin. It's a little bit sad, but also beautiful at the same time.
Can I pose a question? Do you guys think Hazel was into the donut lady because he was getting free snacks?
Oh, you're body shaming Hazel.
I'm not body
Shame
shaming, man.
on
That's frugal as fuck. Like, listen, lady, I'm trying to get to the source. Be my wife. Be my wife so I can get free donuts. This is nothing. Listen, some people like food better than fucking. All right, so it's like he was
It's
like,
true.
be my wife so I can get both. Smart man.
Yeah,
If I
yeah.
met a lady, she was a little old in the tooth, but if I met a lady, you know, who owned I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just
Yeah.
All
But
right.
you know, he clearly
Shout out
is
ladies
someone
who
that
own
goes
restaurants.
nuts for donuts.
All right. I guess we should end the pod there. Did you like Umbrella Academy? Did you hate it? Let us know. Write us an email at bingesocietypodcast@gmail.com. You can also hit us on Instagram at Binge Society. You can also hit us up on TikTok and Twitter at Binge Society Pod. So yeah, please engage with us. Talk to us. Write us.
Answer any of the questions that we covered in this show. Who was your favorite power couple? Did you like season 1 more than season 2? Did you like it the other way around? Who's your favorite character? What's your favorite power? What's your favorite color? I don't know. What do you do on weekends? Talk to us.
Your favorite
And of course-
decade.
And of course, please like, share, subscribe with your friends as we try to keep growing and bring more content to y'all. Please keep supporting us. We really appreciate it. Yeah, so that's it. My name is Winston Brewington, aka Radio Win. You can find me on Instagram at Radio Win.
I am Danny Bronner. You can find me under the same name on Instagram, Danny Bronner, DANNY, B as in boy, RAW, N as in Nancy, ER, and then laces out Dan485 on Twitter.
You can find me at Yemi Comedy on Instagram, Yemi Comedy, Facebook, Get Yems on Twitter, GETYEMZ on Twitter, on TikTok, TikTok,
Jesus Talk.
Jesus talk.
You can find me on TikTok at Yemi Comedy as well. You can get at me in these digital streets.
Yeah, man.
Happy New Year.
It's a celebration. All right, y'all. Thanks for listening. Stay safe. Remember, same thing. Still in a pandemic. Hand sanitizer. Wash your hands with soap. Mask outside. Let's get this shit done. Let's wrap this shit up, please. All right? So let's do that. Stay safe. Stay positive. We'll see y'all next week.
That's all, folks.
Boom.